Alright, at number 11 is a sequel, if you will. You see, one of the things Disney has been known for, even up to today, is its sequels that it likes to make for direct-to-video release. One of the sequels, of course, is this one, Lady and the Tramp 2: Scamp's Adventure. And I have to say that it's probably one of the better sequels I've ever watched, based off any animated feature, based off the original animated feature. And here's why I like it. Basically, the roles are sort of reversed in this film. That's right, the roles are sort of reversed from the first one. You see, Scamp, the titled character, if you will, is the son of Lady and the Tramp. Now, Scamp basically wants to be free and wants to be wild and free and wants to wander the streets and all that and do his own thing. Basically, he's the teenage equivalent of what Max was. Now, his parents, of course, don't really want to see this happen, don't want to see him do this. But somehow, he does get free, and he does meet up with a young pup named Angel. Actually, he meets her while he's in his front yard. Basically, he's tied up in his front yard, or he's kind of stuck in his front yard, and Angel and all these other dogs, which are called the junkyard dogs, kind of go by him, and she spots him. And basically, he kind of gives her back something that they lost, and she actually kind of gives him a little bit of a nod that she finds him attractive. Anyway, again, like I said, the story works out great because it's basically the roles of the original movie in reverse. Again, like I said, you got Scamp that wants to be wild and free and eventually wants to try to be a junkyard dog. Now you have Angel, who he meets up with, who wants to have it the other way. She wants to be part of a family. She wants to live in a real home. And then, of course, you got some of the other characters. Like, say, you've got, I guess you can say he's the villain, if you will. I can't think of his name right now. But he's the leader of the junkyard dogs. And we find out that he sort of knows from the past, he sort of has a past, if you will, with Tramp. And basically we find out that Tramp was a street dog, used to hang out with him as part of the junkyard dogs or something like that. The story definitely flows from there. We definitely see sort of similarities to, sort of nods and similarities to the original film. Like, for example, the spaghetti scene. Now, we all know the famous spaghetti scene from Lady and the Tramp. There's no doubt about that, folks. But instead of redrawing that scene step by step or scene by scene, they instead say, you know what? The puppies, that, let them go wild with the spaghetti. And how do they kind of reenact that? And how do they do the kissing part? Well, it's real simple. Scamp accidentally licks while they're eating the spaghetti. Scamp I guess you could say it's by accident, if you will, licks Angel in the face trying to get some of the food off of her. And he kind of is embarrassed by this, but she returns the lick, but she kind of returns a lick instead. A kiss, if you will, kind of returns it as well. But it's definitely a great film. It's definitely a great sequel, one of the better sequels I think Disney has ever produced. So if you have not seen this film yet, where have you been? It's definitely, to me, I know I'm constantly saying this, it's one of the best continuations of any Disney animated feature. You definitely have to see it. And that is why Lady and the Tramp 2, Scamp's Adventure, is at number 11, and it leads us into number 10, which is the one that preceded Lady and the Tramp 2. Alright, as we get into the top 10 of this top 15 countdown, we begin it with number 10, the movie that preceded the number 11 movie, and that is the original Lady and the Tramp. What more can you say about this movie? This is a movie that's definitely worth any adaptation it's ever been. If it's adapted off a book, it's definitely worth it. I mean, you talk about telling the story of, a ruffian falling for a queen, if you will, or a ruffian falling for a princess, if you will, dog style, you got it right here. There's no doubt about it. You have it right here with Lady and the Tramp. And overall, it's probably one of Disney's better films. Disney animated films. I mean, you look at it and you say to yourself, I gotta see, after it's done, you say, I gotta see it again. I gotta see it again. And you gotta see it again. And it's just one of those you want to see with your family, and sometimes you want to see on your own. I mean, it's just a great film. I mean, the animation is beautifully done. I mean, matter of fact, I remember watching some of the one of the special features on the 2-disc DVD, and they said that when you look at the stained glass window in the original film, you could feel the heat coming off that window. That's how good the animation was, and it's overall how good the story is. Now, of course, being a Disney film, it is sort of a musical. Not much of a musical, because it only has like 3 main songs, as far as I know. We Are Siamese, which is one of the more popular songs to come out of it. Bella Notte, which kind of got a remake for the sequel. And, of course, the ever-popular Peggy Lee song, He's a Tramp. You combine those with great animation, great storytelling, you have one of Disney's best animated features. I can only hope and wait for the day that Disney decides to release it onto Blu-ray, because I guarantee you this: Beauty and the Beast has been on Blu-ray, it's being re-released in theaters. Lion King's been on Blu-ray. Aladdin's probably been on Blu-ray. The thing is, when Lady and the Tramp hits Blu-ray, it's going to sell out. There's no doubt about that, folks. But it's basically a great rags to riches story, or basically a coming up from the dirt, coming up from the bottom and going to the top kind of story. Basically a great underdog story, if you will. I mean the chemistry that Tramp and Lady have is just perfect, if you will. Basically, here you have a ruffian character in Tramp that, through Lady, realizes there's more to life than just being who he is. And then you see Lady kind of learn from him that there's more to life than just being who she is. It's a great mixture. It's a great chemistry between the characters. It's just perfect. And I don't think you can ask for anything more from Disney. Heck, if they ever decide to make a third Lady and the Tramp film, I don't know where they go from there, but maybe they continue the success and make it as good as the sequel and the original, but who knows? But all I can say about Lady and the Tramp is it's definitely worth watching over and over again. It's an unbelievable film. You have to sit down and see it, and believe me, when you do, you'll see why it's one of Disney's all-time best animated features. And that's why it's at number 10 on the top 15 countdown. Alright, at number 9, we have a movie which is another sequel, but was probably one of the better sequels to be released in theaters. And probably one of the more underrated Disney animated features, The Rescuers Down Under. Now, believe it or not, there's rumors that have been circulating for years. That The Rescuers Down Under was actually supposed to be Rescue Rangers the movie. That's right. I'm not lying, folks. These are rumors that have been circulating. I heard this somewhere a long time ago, and I don't know if it's still being heard and circulated around, but the rumor going around that I heard was that Rescuers Down Under was released in the place of what Rescue Rangers was supposed to be. That's right. Rescuers Down Under took the Rescue Ranger took the Rescue Rangers theater slot, if you will. But I have to say, if you're going to replace Rescue Ranger, the proposed Rescue Ranger film with any film, this was a great choice, because it's very similar in many ways to Rescue Rangers. Basically, you have little rodents, mice in this case, part of the Rescue Aid Society. Now, basically, in this sequel to the original, they have to find a young boy named Cody. Now, the young boy basically is sort of a specialist when it comes to communicating with animals. He can actually talk with them. So he finds out, this young boy ends up finding out that this very rare golden eagle called Marihute, I think, is trapped on top of a mountain. So he basically frees her. Now we find out obviously who freed her. Not freed her, but we obviously find out who captured her. His name is McLeach. And he's voiced by, basically his name is McLeach. And I can't think of his name. He's voiced basically by George C. Scott. And I'll tell you, they did a great job with this villain. Basically, he's the kind of villain that he's sadistic, but he's the kind of sadistic, fun-loving villain. He basically likes to have the fun at the expense of others. But he's also the kind of villain that wants to make a lot of money. So, what does he do? He basically captures Cody and uses Cody to try to find out and lure Marihute into a trap, which he does. Now, one of the subplots throughout the film is Bernard is trying to propose to Bianca. He's trying to propose to Bianca to be his wife. Now, throughout the film, it's that his every opportunity that he has is constantly interrupted by something else. One of the other subplots as well is not only is his chances at proposing to Bianca interrupted, but now as they get to Australia, he has to deal with a bit of competition, if you will, in an Australian mouse named Jake, who basically takes a sudden attraction to Bianca. Now, one of the most memorable characters, besides Bianca and Bernard and even Jake, in the film is Wilbur. And he's voiced by the late John Candy, and John Candy does a great job with Wilbur here. I mean, he's funny. They got great scenes where he interacts with these other Australian mice who are basically trying to operate on him. I mean, it's just overall, when you see those scenes, it'll make you laugh. I mean, they just did a great job in putting John Candy as the voice here. Overall, Rescuers Down Under, like I said, is definitely one of the better sequels to original Disney animated features, especially when it comes to being released theatrically. And it's definitely one of the better choices. Now, of course, the reason it was released theatrically is due to the fact that this was before they decided to release the sequels directly to VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. And later on, Blu-ray. But like I said, Rescuers Down Under is a great film. It's full of action, it's full of adventure, it's full of comedy. It's just overall great. It's a total package. Now, like I said, this rumor that was circulating around when I first heard it was it took the place of what was going to be the Rescue Ranger theatrical slot. So, take that for what it's worth. But overall, Rescuers Down Under is definitely a great film. So, if you haven't checked it out yet, do yourself a favor and check it out, folks. You'll see why I like this movie. I really do. I mean, it's got great animation. I mean, the animation in the first Rescuers and the original, it was okay. But this animation here blows it right out of the water, folks. It blows it right out of the water. So, again, if you've not seen Rescuers Down Under, do yourself a favor and do it. You'll like it. And that's why Rescuers Down Under is number 9 on the top 15 countdown.